What are the strategies you should employ in rounds 10 through 17 of a 12-team half-point PPR draft here for fantasy football in 2022? We continue our look at our mock and give you sleepers and our tight end rankings here on Locked On Fantasy Football.
Our Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer, and I'm not doing this. I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for sportingnews.com. It is time. It is time to close our mock draft here, half-point PPR 12-teamer that we've been building until the end here. We've gone rounds 1, 2, 3, the analysis of all the picks there. We went rounds 4 through 6, 7 through 9. So if you missed any of that, check out those previous three shows. Here we're going to focus on rounds 10, 11, 12. We're going to highlight those picks and then go beyond that to tell you some sleepers I like and what you want to do when you're thinking about defense, kicker, and just rounding out your roster in the final few rounds and all that good stuff. So we'll get into it on today's show. Then tomorrow we'll break down our rankings that we have across positions: quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. Look at it against our friends from Locked On Dynasty here on the network and break it down and why the discrepancies are there, what we think here, and what are some things to look out for when considering players at those positions. So we'll do that to close the week on Friday. A lot of good stuff before, a lot of good stuff to come here, and a good show just around the corner here. But first, I got to tell you, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen today. We're free and available to you on all platforms. I'm also excited to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Brightco Jewelry and Watch Insurance. Brightco brings you comprehensive, fast, and affordable jewelry insurance for as low as $3 per month. Check out your special offer for Locked On listeners and get covered in under 2 minutes at bright.co/locked on. That's bright.co/locked on. All right, let's dive right into it. And where we left off, if we're in an even round, that means we're coming back up from team number 12. So we'll quickly recap the teams here, and we'll go rapid fire through all the picks here, the 36 picks in rounds 10, 11, and 12. So our team at the bottom was our favorite team name, just to say, Kelsey FC. They took Travis Kelsey first. They got Aaron Jones as RB1 in the next round, Deontay Johnson, Mike Williams, and Hollywood Brown straight down the line as wide receiver 1, 2, 3. Kyler Murray in round 6 as QB1. Ramondre Stevenson as their RB2. Then they went back-to-back Bills here to address that situation with Devin Singletary and James Cook. So good strategy employed there to kind of get a part of a backfield, so you know you have some options here. They should end up with a decent RB2 between those three. Now they can focus on a little bit more wide receiver depth, as it's been 4 rounds since they've gone that way. So they're going to look at Treylon Burks. Now, Burks has not had a good preseason here. The first-round pick replacing A.J. Brown in Tennessee, but there's a ton of vacated targets. They want to feed him this ball often. Robert Woods is coming off an ACL injury. Woods did go in our round 9 coming down, so getting a little piece of the Titans' passing game seems to make sense with all the vacated targets with Brown and Julio Jones and others gone here. So I'm taking a chance on Treylon Burks. If it were me, I would take Burks over Woods, but Woods on the consensus rankings might go a little bit ahead in your draft, and that's what we had play out here in this one. Now, going up, we had our team number 11. They were called Nice Diggs. They had Stephon Diggs, wide receiver 1. Nick Chubb, Travis Etienne, Cortland Sutton, Darren Waller, Chris Godwin, Juju Smith-Schuster, Kareem Hunt as a handcuff, and their starting quarterback they found in round 9 in Matthew Stafford. Or is it their starting quarterback? Because they're going to go with Aaron Rodgers here in round 10. Interesting move here, but this is called season-long streaming at quarterback. This is not a bad move at all, and there's a lot of tools to help you do that. Break down the matchups, season long. See which two quarterbacks fit the best in terms of bye weeks and also the matchups across the board. So you're always in a good matchup. You might be a little concerned with Stafford with the elbow and maybe diminishing returns. You might be similarly concerned with Aaron Rodgers without Devontae Adams. This way, you cover your bases here. You're going to have an option in the right matchup every week if you play one of these guys. It's okay to do that. You don't need to lock into one guy here. And that's what you might have to think about a little bit. Was the quarterback depth of the position? Give yourself some options, especially in a QB one-start league here. Two QB leagues, a lot different. Superflex, totally different story. But we're looking at how to maximize our points given every week. So you get Stafford and Rodgers. They mesh well together with their schedule here. So back together again from the NFC North on this fantasy team. Nice digs here. So our next team was really team number 10, a winning Mixon. And they went with Joe Mixon, Devontae Adams, Breece Hall, DJ Moore, Jalen Hurts, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Drake London, TJ Hawkinson, Chris Olave. So now they're going to go with some depth here at running back. They know the team that has Cam Akers is on the clock next. They might be targeting Darrell Henderson Jr., so this team is going to go and take care of that. Take Darrell Henderson Jr. as the RB4. Some good depth developing there, just in case Breece Hall doesn't quite work out as a rookie, but good value there for sure to get Darrell Henderson this round. Next pick up is Kirk Cousins, and this pick goes to the team that took Jamar Chase, DeAndre Swift, Kyle Pitts, the aforementioned Cam Akers, Rashad Bateman, Damian Pierce, good RB3 there, Dak Prescott, Brandon Ayuk, Robert Woods, and now they're taking Kirk Cousins 3 rounds after they took Dak Prescott. Why? Well, there's a little bit of concern developing with Dak Prescott. Michael Gallup is going to miss some time. The other thing that's happened here is Tyron Smith has hurt his hamstring at left tackle. So it's a bit of breaking news here as we add it and we change on the fly in our mock draft. Hopefully breaking news won't happen. I remember one year I drafted in a league where Michael Vick got crushed by the Ravens and broke his leg there and he was out. And someone drafted Michael Vick really early as a QB1. They were done there. So hedge your bets a little bit, QB. If you go a little bit later to wait on QB, make sure you give yourself options because you never know if the second guy is going to pan out. It's okay. You're trying again to score the most points every week at a particular position. The next team did not get in on the tight end run. If you go to them early, they were the CMC scoring factory, Christian McCaffrey, CeeDee Lamb, Josh Allen, David Montgomery, Gabriel Davis, stacking with Allen, Antonio Gibson, Adam Thielen, Cordell Patterson, Allen Lazard as your wide receiver 4. And then now they're going to maybe try for a different type of stack here with Josh Allen. Dawson Knox, a pretty good value this late. I wouldn't go too early on him with all the targets there. But Dawson Knox here adding as a tight end one is a good spot. Now I would, again, think about addressing tight end not too long after this to hedge bets to make sure we have a decent starter every week here for this team. Next team was Cup's when I'm gone. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver 1. Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott is in the starting backfield. Justin Herbert, luxury pick at quarterback. Darnell Mooney taking him as a wide receiver 2, as he should be. You have a Damian Harris, RB3. Tony Pollard, handcuff / RB4. Devonta Smith, wide receiver 4. Nice upside there. Pat Freiermuth, tight end 1. And now they're going to take Kadarius Toney. I don't know what to expect from this Giants wide receiver core. Is it Kadarius Toney? Is it going to be Wan'Dale Robinson? Is it going to be Kenny Galladay? You know, Toney has the most buzz and the most carryover from last year that you would think about it. So Toney here is a wide receiver 5. A little bit of the upside there with Devonta Smith as your backup wide receivers. Now, the next team was I'm Henry the Great. I am, or we're Henry the Great. We are, whatever we want to call it. Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, T. Higgins, Terry McLaurin, Josh Jacobs, a little bit shaky there. Joe Burrow in round 6 is QB1. Elijah Moore, I like that pick for sure as wide receiver 3. Melvin Gordon for depth as RB4. Cole Kmet as your starting tight end. This is the time. I've seen Chase Claypool on the board ahead of George Pickens. I'm not buying it. I want George Pickens. He's the number 2. Pittsburgh, I think he's going to keep going a little bit higher, especially if it's Kenny Pickett starting a quarterback. So Deontay went pretty early. We know that in round 3. Round 10 is a great value for the Steelers' number 2 receiver and looking really good. The new Claypool in town and could really have a rookie season quite like Claypool here. So then the next pick went to the team that had Justin Jefferson, Javonte Williams, James Conner, Jalen Waddle. We have Allen Robinson, Dalton Schultz, Rashad Penny, Russell Wilson as a starting quarterback, DeAndre Hopkins waiting for him as a stash after 6-game suspension, and Michael Carter, RB4, a little bit of depth there behind Breece Hall. Our next team was $6 million man with Austin Eckler, the Steve Austin namesake, maybe. We don't know. $6 million contract for this year. Austin Eckler, Leonard Fournette, Michael Pittman Jr., Brand Cooks, DK Metcalf, Chase Edmonds, Dallas Goddard, Ken Walker for some upside there in round 8. Trey Lance for some massive upside in round 9. So that's a value. You might have to spend a little bit higher of a pick to get Trey Lance with his buzz. But now they're going for a little bit of wide receiver depth, and they're going to go with one Garrett Wilson. So adding a little bit of depth behind DK Metcalf here as your wide receiver 3. They like Pittman and Cooks, pretty solid picks, but wide receiver 4. Our next team started with Najee Harris. They're called Steelers Wheels. Deebo Samuel, Keenan Allen, Elijah Mitchell, rounds 2, 3, and 4. Lamar Jackson in the 5th. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 6th. Miles Sanders, RB3 in the 7th. Hunter Renfrow, wide receiver 4. Good value there in the 8th. Zach Ertz is their tight end 1 in the 9th. And here they're going to go for Tyler Algier, knowing that they need some running back potential here. So Tyler Algier, the rookie from the Falcons, could end up leading that team in carries. Now, our next team is Dalvin and the Chipmunks, Dalvin Cook, Mike Evans, Tyreek Hill, George Kittle, A.J. Dillon, Jerry Jeudy, Tom Brady in round 7, Alexander Madison to handcuff Cook, pretty high price there in round 8, Tyler Lockett in round 9, and now they're going to address some tight end depth. You took George Kittle, you're going to have to get a good backup. Mike Gesicki, there are some trade rumors that they're going to move him, but Mike Gesicki is the pick here at round 10, the second to last pick here. So depth and a different offense, but similar scheme here. And again, watch out for Gesicki being potentially on the move with that contract here before the cuts are down. And our final team, Jonathan Taylor, the dome improvement, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, an homage to him, as well as Lucas Oil Field being an indoor stadium. Jonathan Taylor, often you're going to see this from Mark Andrews, A.J. Brown, J.K. Dobbins taking a chance on in round 4, Patrick Mahomes going quarterback in round 5, Michael Thomas round 6, but getting Amari Cooper, Kenneth Gainwell, Christian Kirk in round 10. They're going to get their semi-handcuff to Jonathan Taylor, and that's Nyheim Hines here in round 10. All right, let's quickly go down the board. In round 11, we have Sky Moore for some depth and upside. They're one of my favorite picks. Justin Fields behind Tom Brady. If that offensive line crumbles a little bit or Brady succumbs to age, Fields is a good upside backup. Tyler Boyd to the team that has St. Brown and Renfrow, another slot option that could get some volume. The team that has Ken Walker behind Trey Lance, also in the backfield, goes with Rashad White for some upside. They also have Leonard Fournette, so that makes a lot of sense. So Pickens is off the board, so taking a chance on Chase Claypool next for the team that has Allen Robinson and DeAndre Hopkins as wide receiver 3 and 4. Now, this player is going to go a lot faster, too. It's Zamir White. This is going to the Josh Jacobs team with Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley. Covered their bases there with the Raiders. He is now the clear number 2 with Kenny Drake gone. That gives a suggestion to our next team that we need to add some depth here. They're trying to rely on Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott. So Brian Robinson Jr. trying to snipe that Antonio Gibson owner who's next on the clock. And then you look here, you had Dawson Knox go to the team that had Josh Allen and Gabe Davis out of necessity, but you diversify and get Hunter Henry here. The next team goes for Jamal Williams at RB5. He's behind DeAndre Swift. That makes a lot of sense for that team. Russell Gage has a little bit of an injury issue, but a good wide receiver 5 value here in round 11. The team that has Travis Etienne behind Nick Chubb gets James Robinson for some insurance in round 11. Good value for him. And to end this round, to add a little bit more wide receiver options behind Mike Williams, Hollywood Brown, and Treylon Burks, you get Devontae Parker, I think the clear Patriots number 1. Khalil Herbert making the turn, the Michael Phelps off the wall for upside for that same team at number 12. Here you get Rondell Moore, the other Moore, the third Moore, Elijah Moore, Sky Moore, Rondell Moore. All should go off in these rounds here. So they're upside wide receiver 5. Tua Tagovailoa, the backup to Jalen Hurts. Makes sense. Reunite them from Alabama. Then you have another option for tight end for this team that took Kyle Pitts early. They go with Irv Smith, going for some upside, a bye week replacement. This next team needs an RB5. They did have Antonio Gibson. They're probably disappointed that there's no more Robinson on the board, taken ahead of them in the previous pick. So they'll go with J.D. McKissick here. Next team has Justin Herbert. They don't need a lot, so they'll go with Matt Ryan to fill in on a good bye week against the Commanders as their QB2. You have David Njoku as a tight end too behind Cole Kmet, so two upside tight ends there. Our next team doesn't have Austin Eckler, but they know they need some depth, so they're going to go with Isaiah Spiller as their RB5 behind Michael Carter. You have the next team, they got Trey Lance at QB. They're going to get another TL to back him up. Trevor Lawrence is QB2 in the second year. Jameis Winston goes to back up Lamar Jackson there in the third to last pick in round 12. Jahan Dotson at wide receiver there behind Jerry Jeudy and Tyler Lockett to hedge the bets there. And then finally, round 12, you have Raheem Mostert going there for the team that needs a little bit more running back depth, given their RB2 is J.K. Dobbins with Kenneth Gainwell and Naeem Hines being the handcuff to Jonathan Taylor. So there's a breakdown. Now, that's how it might play out. And those are some things that you're thinking about. Depth, really focusing on that. Make sure you have a good situation in all positions. If you're weak at quarterback or tight end, reinforce that, especially in a one-start league for those positions. Now, a lot of good stuff there, and we went a little bit deep. We will then turn our attention to our strategies that you can employ, the 12 deep sleepers I like, and then we'll close the show with my tight end rankings here on Locked On Fantasy Football. So being comprehensive here as we get closer to our fantasy football draft weekend holiday for many of us. Now, I told you at the top that this episode is brought to you by Brightco Jewelry Insurance. And really, we've had a lot of mishaps sometimes with our jewelry. Some proposals have gone extremely wrong. I'll tell you one story for myself. This was after I was married, thank goodness, and it wasn't involving my wife's wedding ring, which is also thank goodness. Well, I was enjoying the beach there in Cabo San Lucas, beautiful beach there, and it was a little rough water, and my wedding band was a little loose. What happened? It came flying off, and it went to the ocean. Good news, it was called Lover's Beach, so I try to say it's immortalized there, lost forever. Thankfully, I could recover from that, but if it was a little bit something more expensive, don't worry, Brightco can have you covered if it was actually a wedding ring with a lot of value. Well, you don't want to be that guy. Here's your lesson. You certainly don't want it splattered all over the internet with your embarrassing lost jewelry. The guys at Brightco Jewelry Insurance will make sure you get a replacement for the full value of whatever ring you've lost, no matter if it's lost, stolen, or you just can't figure out what happened to it. Go to bright.co/locked on. It's the fastest and easiest and cheapest way to cover your ass for the best jewelry insurance in the business. These guys at Brightco are geniuses. They made buying insurance for your engagement ring, your watch, or whatever so freaking easy. You can get covered in 2 minutes on your cell phone. You won't find a better deal on great coverage. It's super affordable. Bright.co/locked on is where you'll find it. You have to see these awesome videos, especially the helicopter fail, the proposal. You can imagine what happened. Brightco has a bunch of these hilarious videos that you can see for yourself at bright.co/locked on. All right, we will continue the show breaking down our mock draft and going beyond their rounds 13 through 17. Deep sleepers you should target, strategies for defense, kicker, and rounding out your draft here. Thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. We are free and available on all platforms. Make sure you check out the Ultimate Pro Football Preview starting August 31st, an 8-episode extravaganza to get you ready for the NFL season. The local team experts of the Locked On Podcast Network and Odyssey NFL Insiders all combining into one Ultimate NFL Preview. Starting August 31st, search for Ultimate Pro Football Preview 2022 on your Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, we're not going to get into every pick here. We're actually going to stop making picks here, so we know how we round out our rosters. Now, what should you do for defense and kicker? Notice we didn't take a defensive kicker. Someone in your league is going to do it. Just don't do it. You can stream. It's always not the top defense that you think, so everyone's on the Colts and Cowboys, but things change from year to year. I like the Chargers this season. I like the Eagles. There's a lot of teams that you can get a little bit later. So look at those matchups in week one. See what makes a lot of sense. The sneaky one is the Jaguars against the Commanders. Yeah, you can play them in week one, and the Vikings sneakily against the Packers at home in that game. So all kinds of streaming options. Just look for a week one defense that you can go with, or a couple defenses that you can maybe platoon if you take two in the late rounds, maybe do it in 15 or 16. Why say that? Because you're always going to take a kicker in the late round. If you've got a kicker in the league, just don't take a kicker out of principle until the late round, last round, 17 rounds. Typically, wait till round 17 to get that kicker. And look, you're going to swap out your character. You're going to find different guys. The top 12 in the rankings never are the top 12 in the finishers, just like defense. So just don't panic. Don't go after those positions. And another thing, don't worry too much about bye weeks. As long as you have two quarterbacks and two tight ends that have slightly different bye weeks, that's fine. You can always also add depth as well. And remember, you're not just drafting for bye weeks, you're drafting for insurance, platoon situations potentially. So let's keep that in mind, especially if you have got a regular quarterback that you're starting every week and just need a 1 week replacement. But that's about it with bye weeks. Now I'm going to throw out a dozen names that I really like, and these guys could actually end up going in the top 12 rounds in your particular drafts. Let's go down them. And Nico Collins, the Texans wide receiver behind Brand Cooks. He has good chemistry here with the big armed Davis Mills. You got Austin Hooper, tight end. The Titans, we talked about their vacated targets with Robert Woods and Traylon Burks maybe taking advantage, but Hooper's a tight end, and we know Ryan Tannehill likes throwing to the tight end. Joshua Palmer, if something happens to Keenan Allen, who's now going into age 30 season, or Mike Williams, who has an injury history, Joshua Palmer would have a big role here with the Chargers for Justin Herbert. Sonny Michel, again, Chase Edmonds is a little bit slighted build. He has some injury issues. You have Raheem Mostert, can't stay healthy at all. He's a third running back in Miami, could end up being a starter. We saw what value he had down the stretch for the Rams last season. Donta Foreman, we know Christian McCaffrey's brittle. Everyone might be on Chuba Hubbard, but Donta Foreman had a really good season backing up Derrick Henry with Dontrell Hilliard last year, so really like Donta Foreman there. Wandale Robinson, you could go for Kadarius Toney or Kenny Galladay. I think Wandale, the rookie, has the most upside. They're going to move him around in a key spot there. Romeo Doubs, we've been hearing about him, but he is still the Packers' buried receiver. I wouldn't go after Sammy Watkins or Randall Cobb. I would go straight around to Romeo Doubs, and you can't draft fellow rookie Christian Watson. Isaiah Pacheco, the Chiefs' running back, buzzy guy, he could be gone based on the buzz, but still Ronald Jones is ahead of him. You have Jerick McKinnon, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I don't want to draft him too early, but Pacheco can step into a big role if Edwards-Helaire continues to falter. Brevin Jordan, another Texan on the list, yeah. We've heard about Pharaoh Brown being the tight end, but really Brevin Jordan is the key guy that's starting at the receiving spot at that position. Alec Pierce, we love Michael Pittman and Jr. and the chemistry he can have with Matt Ryan as the alpha, but Alec Pierce clearly number 2 ahead of Paris Campbell. I don't want any part of Paris Campbell. He's an injury-prone guy in the middle of the slot, not a high-volume passing team, but I do like Pierce, his big playability, replacing kind of that T.Y. Hilton role, but in a bigger body and a much younger, healthier, durable body here in Alec Pierce. Samaje Perine. I mean, Joe Mixon is a guy that can have some injury issues. They do include Perine quite a bit, spell him in key situations. Perine is a very plus handcuff, and the Mixon manager might be on him a little bit earlier in your league if they're looking for that insurance. And finally, you got to go with the 49ers rookie running back. We saw what happened last year with Elijah Mitchell. We were on Trey Sermon, but Trey Sermon was a total bust. Elijah Mitchell was the rookie running back of choice there, kind of like Romeo Doubs versus Christian Watson here, a different rookie wide receiver in Green Bay having some interest. Davis Price and the 49ers have had 5 leading rushers in the Kyle Shanahan era, so it easily could be someone else. If Mitchell breaks down, he had some injury issues last year as well, so they'll plug and play the rookie Davis Price. JaMychal Hasty looks like he'll be cut. Jeff Wilson might be on the team a little bit here, but some opportunity there for Tyrion Davis Price. All right, so there's a look at some late round guys I really like, and I'm not going too deep. Just don't stash your roster with those type of guys. Put them on your watch list here. If multiple things have to happen for them to be valuable, then it's a little bit tough to go after them. But these are guys that are not too far away from big roles and good late round stashes, those dozen picks for you. So in our final segment, we'll look at my tight end rankings. I'll go through my top 25 there. We'll do that here to continue our look at the rankings. We'll go do a more in-depth look at the rankings versus our other 4 experts here, Ryan McDowell, Matt Williamson, Marcus Mosher, and Kate Magdazuk, and we'll look at their rankings, and we'll now analyze that in relation to mine there on the final show of the week tomorrow. We do have one more segment. We'll get to those rankings in a moment. Before we do that, I got to tell you about another sponsor. It is LinkedIn. As you gear up for fall, you need the right people on your team to help your small business fire on all cylinders. That's true in the NFL as teams try to win. Well, you're trying to win and put together the right mix of guys and gals to help you dominate. LinkedIn Jobs is here to make it easier to find the people you want to talk to faster and for free. It's going to make it easy and convenient to find who you're looking for and the right people you're looking for. Create a free job posts in minutes on LinkedIn Jobs to reach your network and beyond to the world's largest professional network of more than 810 million people. Then add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile. That's the hashtag purple hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. So your network can help you find the right people to hire. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on the candidates with the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you'd like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs number one in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Did you know every week nearly 40 million job seekers visit LinkedIn? Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, it is time to close the show. We're going to run down my tight end rankings here. So a little bit of front-heavy show, but we're going to dive into it. You might not be surprised with my 1, 2, 3. I'm going down the line. Travis Kelce first, Mark Andrews second, Kyle Pitts third. That's a consensus. That's how I feel about it as well. And how we feel about it is also 1, 2, 3 your guide. Kelce late in the first, Andrews late in the second, Kyle Pitts late in the third. Now it gets dicey after these three guys. So if you really want to invest and be safe at tight end, one of those three guys is going to be your pick. I like George Kittle next, but I will put an asterisk by him. Make sure you get good depth here at that position. You have Darren Waller dropping to 6 for me. I actually like Dalton Schultz a little bit better, given now the offensive line issue with Dallas and Dak Prescott. Maybe need to check down more, get rid of the ball. Wide receiver issue is bad behind CeeDee Lamb. So Dalton Schultz can build on last year's pretty high finish as a tight end 3 and stay healthy as well. So as a pill, so I'm not dropping Darren Waller too far to number 6. I got Dallas Goddard. I like his upside playing off A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith for Jalen Hurts as number 7. Zach Ertz, his former teammate in Arizona at 8. T.J. Hawkinson right there in the middle at 9. Cole Kmet with a lot of upside at 10. Pat Freiermuth right behind him at 11. I like Mike Gesicki, even in the tough current situation. Maybe the offense will play out that it's favorable for the tight end at 12. Dawson Knox behind him at 13. Hunter Henry at 14 there at tight end. At 15, I'm jumping it a little bit with Noah Fant, and he might not go that early in drafts, but I do think Seattle's going to lean a lot on the tight end more than we think, playing off the limitations of their quarterbacks. Albert O, his former teammate in Denver, I have at 16. Number 17 on the board is Austin Hooper, good sleeper. We talked about that. Irv Smith is 18. Tyler Higbee at 19. Robert Tonyan there, if he's healthy, he can score some touchdowns for you and help with vacated targets at 20. David Njoku comes in at 21. I have Cameron Brate, well under drafted there at 22, a good deep sleeper there as a tight end 2 to play out. Hayden Hurst at 23, replacing C.J. Uzomah in that Bengals offense. I have Gerald Everett 24. I'm a little bit worried about Donald Parham Jr. and also Keenan Allen and Mike Williams dominating targets there for the Chargers. Then coming in at 25, a little bit worried about Dan Arnold, and just because it's Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is at 25 on the tight end ranking. So there you have it. There's your rounds 10 through 12 analysis for you in a 12-team half-point PPR mock draft. The strategies you think about in filling out your team from rounds 13 to 17, all the way down to defense and kicker, plus the dozen sleepers we liked, as well as how we see the tight ends playing out in the rankings here in 2022. Thanks so much for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. It's Fantasy Draft Week here on the Locked On Podcast Network, so we're happy you're joining us. Locked On Dynasty, Locked On NFL. So get ready for your fantasy football drafts. Listen to all the shows you can. Your favorite teams, Locked On NFL, Locked On Dynasty, they're also going to give you the insight to dominate here. For Locked On Fantasy Football, for our look at our mock draft and turning the page to our deeper rankings analysis to close the week, this is Vinnie Iyer. Have a great day and check you out there. And if you missed any of the mock draft, check out our archives here on Locked On Fantasy Football.